All right, welcome everybody. It's 9:02 a.m. Call this meeting to order. Harmony, just as soon as you're ready, you can call.
Director Bradley.
Here. Did you hear me?
Director Brems. Director Cardenas. Director Daly.
Here.
Director Keithley.
Here.
Director Litvak. Director Litvak. Director Olson. Director Peterson.
Here.
Director Prokopis.
Here.
Director Silvestrini.
Here.
Director Stevenson.
Here. Maybe message or.
Looks like
I thought I can see her looking. Aaron, can you hear us? Jim can hear us. All right, we'll move into public comments. Do we have any public comments today? Do you have any online comments? Seeing none. Move on to the UPD update and hear from Chief Dial and Chief Wolf.
Good morning, board. This will be brief on my part. Let me excuse the sheriff as she is spending time with her children on a much needed vacation. Her children demanded she be there, so excuse her. We held the annual award ceremony last week. Thank you those mayors, city and county council members who attended and your staff as well. We know your schedules are very busy and our members very much appreciate your ongoing support. Many great achievements, heroic events were recognized there. It occurred last year at this ceremony. We congratulate those recipients from the Sheriff's Office and UPD and all of our members who do great work each and every day. We are very busy with all hands on deck as we inch closer to the separation date of July 1, 18 days away from today. Many of those issues will be discussed and updated later in this meeting by those doing those directly. We continue to accept applications and conduct interviews with candidates wanting a position here at UPD, and Mark will update you on that here shortly. Any comments or questions?
Let's see.
All right, Mark. Okay.
Harmony, is there a way to make that full screen? Just kind of, it's a huge spreadsheet and
I got it on the full screen already.
okay, well, we'll make it work the best we can here. So the first thing I'd like to do is just update you on where we are as of today. So this is our complete org chart. As you can see, it's way too big to fit on this one screen. But this contains every position in the UPD post July 1. And so what we've done is as folks have resigned to take positions with the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office, we've removed them from this org chart. And so for the sworn side of the house, we have had enough people resign and go to the Sheriff's Office that we will not be in a position where we have to riff anyone, which is was a huge relief. That was our biggest concern going through this process. So as it yeah, I hope it's not me. So as this is played out, as you can see up here, this is probably where you're out of focus. These fields right here, kind of give you a snapshot of where we are today. So our actual sworn today is 236 or post July 1st, right? Our target was 264, that's fully staffed, which leaves us in a shortage of 28 people. What I'd like to point out here is that before this process started, we were down about 19. So we really didn't lose that many folks going through this whole process, which was fantastic. In addition to that, we've also had just some natural attrition over the last couple of weeks with people resigning to take positions in other departments and just retirements and those kind of things. So I think we did pretty well, I guess is the message. For the civilian side of the house, that is still in progress. The county is currently in the process of making job offers to the civilian staff. And so you'll see there that we currently are 16 civilians heavy. All of those, they are reflected down here, are investigations in the Metro Gang unit. And so we anticipate all of those positions or those individuals will take positions with Salt Lake County and will be fine on the civilian side as well. And so we have, as of post July 1, with the current resignations that we've received as of today, we are down 4 civilians. That number will likely grow a little bit. We know that there's some job offers being made to our existing staff, so we might lose a few more civilians to the county if that. And if that occurs, then we'll get those posted and just recruit to backfill those. So I don't know if you'd like me to go through each of these precincts individually, but you can see, for instance, here on the left, this is investigations over here. We have 4 current open investigations, and you can see those are reflected. We've got 1 in special victims, 1 in violent crimes, 1 in the DV fraud unit that has been created, and 1 in the Metro Gang Task Force position. Other vacancies throughout the organization are reflected. This is technical services right here in this bill. You can see we've our evidence manager, Robbie Ibsen, has taken a position with Salt Lake County, so that position is now open. And we have posted that internally for a replacement there. We are down 2 records technicians. The orange folks that are on here are positions that were created in the UPD and that we have hired for. Both of those, there's only 2 of them, and both of those have been filled. So that's good news.
So Chief, it's tough to has to read names and stuff, but it looks to me just from the distribution of the colors that we aren't hurting with in like any one area. It looks like when we have a vacancy, there are other folks to fill in until we can fill those vacancies. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, show you the patrol precincts here. So there are a few openings in the patrol precincts. This is Mill Creek here. The green reflect people that are currently in training. So they're encumbrances to Mill Creek, but they are not actively working. They're still in training. And so again, this is Mid-Val. So you can see there's quite a number of vacancies there. There was a lot of folks in Mid-Val that ended up going to Salt Lake County.
Is that going to be an issue? I mean, that's looks significant. Is that going to be an issue? Trade people around.
Yeah, operationally, so after all of these resignations happened last Wednesday, we all as commanders met and tried to right size the department. So we looked at everybody that had requests to go from one precinct to another, and we tried to accommodate those to right size each precinct. So that process has been done. So this is where we shake out. And
sorry, you just said it. This is the right size that you're looking for.
it is. And so there will be some additional movement. You can see these open SRO positions in Mid-Val. There's an open shelter resource detective in Mid-Val. So as those get filled, that'll create openings elsewhere.
So we will right size it according, so no precinct is disproportionately underserved, does that make sense? We will do that.
Okay, so this is not the right size.
This
That's
is not done yet, there's, because of these specialty positions, once that shakes out, then we will truly right size. So Midvale, for example, is not, short a lot of people, and somebody is not.
Sorry,
We will right size that.
I just meant that we had had that discussion last week.
And is that, will you just go in and just reassign someone and say you're moving precincts, or will there be they'll try to go and get people to stay for that?
See, yeah, I think that first number will be to those that may want to go in before we decide on a seniority type basis. So this is not done. This is our first step to, because as we come up to this July 1 timeframe, there's so many moving parts. Getting information late, it's just what it is. So now we'll, that first week of July, if we can't do it before, we will do everything we can to right size, to Mark's point, each precinct, so they're not understaffed disproportionately.
And so the reason that we did what we could up to this point was the patrol bids are today, the patrol precincts. Their patrol bids are today. So we wanted to get as much movement as we could get done, so that everybody that's being transferred around can then bid in their respective precinct. But yeah, this process is far from done.
Does that answer both your questions?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I'm curious on the civilian side, are there any key losses that we would need to address and have in place come July 1st?
I'm sure there will be. You know, obviously,
We have a plan.
yeah, the only one that's actually submitted a letter of resignation that we are aware of is Rob Gibson from the Property and Evidence Unit. That's a huge loss. And that we have already posted that. We are recruiting internally for that. So someone that's already there will likely be selected for that and will fill that position. So I don't think that there'll be others. I guarantee there'll be others. I just don't know what those are.
We hope to know by next week. I think that closes this week, or offers are this week.
I know they're working on it, so.
Is the maneuvering to make sure no precinct is more understaffed? Is the goal to have all of that completed within the next 18 days, or do we have an exact timeline on that?
So all of these specialty positions that you're seeing that are vacant here have been posted internally. And so they'll all close by Friday of this week. So then those will get backfilled, and then we'll know where the actual vacancies fall in the patrol positions. And then we can right size the patrol positions.
The goal is by July 1. Will that actually occur? I don't know yet.
So is there gonna have to be adjustments to the bid process based upon, I mean, having the bid today? We have to do that again? Revisit
No,
that?
they won't bid again. So it just boils down to seniority. If we end up in a position where we need to move people to right size as a precinct, it would be the lowest seniority folks that would just plug those ones. And I know that's not ideal.
Bids come first and then you'll balance it on assignment basis to fill the remaining vacancy.
So it's been quite the process, and it will continue to be, and it will take a few more weeks to get this knocked out, but I am feeling a lot more comfortable personally, just knowing that we're not gonna be in a position to rip anyone. That brings me some peace. The rest of this we can figure out. Short of going through all of these vacancies, are there any other specific questions to this?
I don't have any. It might be nice to email this out to us so we can take a look at it on a real screen.
Yeah, absolutely. You can manipulate it. Yeah.
Just know it's not the final product, right?
Got it.
The other thing that I wanted to point out is that in this process, we were able to promote 2 lieutenants and 5 sergeants. So there was some promotions made. There's another,
Will be made.
will be mandated,
July 1.
effective July 1st. There's one additional sergeant, vacancy in Midvale. In the detective sergeant there, once that gets filled, that will create another promotion. So there is some benefit to it. It's healthy in some regards. To get some movement and give some people some new opportunities. So we're happy about that. Let me go to this sheet.
It's not short enough.
I have one issue that is really a Slovisa issue, but it probably needs to be talked about here. As these vacancies are created, before we automatically fill a vacancy, at least on the Slovisa side, anything we can do or prolong that makes another year of solvency with existing funding for Slovisa, maybe we build those back in over time rather than July 1st. We know we got into fund balance to budget this year, but I'm worried about year 2 with the additional funding sources that are yet available to the new cities of used to be townships. So it's not just automatically fill a vacancy. Let's right size where we can on the Slovisa side to help year 2 solvency.
We've had that discussion.
Okay, thank you.
So on this spreadsheet, what I wanted to point out here is just where we're at in the candidate pipeline. Being down 28 people, that's going to be important. So you can see here, we have one candidate that is a rehire that we're going to onboard on July 11th, and then an additional entry-level candidate that we've hired that will go to the academy starting August 2nd. In addition to that, we have 3 more entry-level candidates that are in backgrounds currently. We're hoping to get as many of those into the academy in August as well. We'll see where that falls out. And then we have 2 lateral candidates awaiting an initial interview and 2 additional lateral candidates in the background process with a target hire date of July 11th for those 2 that are currently in process. So we do have candidates in the pipeline. We have an onboarding on July 11th, onboarding on August 2nd, and then the next one we're looking at is in November. And that's basically because that's when the academies start. So kind of tied to their dates. So I just wanted to point that out that we do have some folks in the pipeline as well.
It's encouraging to me that, I mean, I wish there were more, but at least there are some level folks are still interested in this department.
Yeah, absolutely. And we continue to get applications, and so we'll work with those folks and get them through the process as quickly as we can. Just the last thing here, these are all of the Salt Lake County hires that have submitted resignations to date, and there's 73 of those. So that's how many they ended up.
Did they hit their target? I know we'll hear from them eventually, but did they get what they needed on the county side?
They do have some vacancies they're going to leave open intentionally, but I think they filled everything that they intended to from the grants. Is that correct, Dak?
That's right.
All right, that's all I've got, unless you have questions for me.
I don't know if this is my question for you or not, it may be an HR question, but are we seeing hints of other departments fueling increase in wages from the county or the state?
I have not heard that, at least not dramatic increases. I think everybody's looking at, 3 to 5% COLAs.
Okay.
Just because of inflation. So I'm not hearing the wage word reigniting. It's not anecdotal.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Time for UPD reorganization update, we're here from Chief Hazard.
Here. For the update, most important things to discuss are the budget, staffing, transfers of assets, agreements, and those things, but that's actually going to be covered throughout the duration of the meeting, so I'm not going to spend your time discussing those issues. You'll hear all about that throughout the meeting as we go. But a couple of things I did want to bring up is Chief Dow mentioned probably the best way to describe things right now is fast and furious people who come together. We are moving quickly on a number of issues, getting ready for this transition July 1. And there will still be some work past July 1, obviously. Things are going well right now. They've gone exceptionally well in the last couple of weeks in terms of progress we're making on a number of fronts. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Outside of that, though, I did want to mention a couple of things. Chief Olson already mentioned the promotions. I want to congratulate those lieutenants and sergeants that will be getting promoted. In July, we'll send out an invite to all of you for that promotion event. Should be probably the second week in July, so we're looking forward to that. Also wanted to let you know we've received a really nice letter from Santa Quinn Police Department passing their sergeant, and I just want to let the board know that we got that, and we appreciate those that supported that. Funeral event, including our motors, those that sent condolences to that department. So they were very, very kind letters. So just want to let you know that that had happened. Another important thing that's happening is I can't thank Chief Dial enough for spearheading this because there's so much to do. Really appreciate the help. Spearheading a group to rework all of our policies. As you know, policies are very important in police departments. It's kind of a guiding document on how to conduct business. We've had to go through that entire policy manual. They meet every Friday to review those, and Wayne has done an exceptional job of having that group figure that out.
It is a group effort. It is a group effort.
He's a group
It's not
member.
me, it's the group.
Yeah, but he spearheaded it. So thank you.
Is that something that's going to require board action to adopt those?
Yeah, and Harry will get those policies to you that require some board review and action. So we're intending on doing that as soon as that's ready to go.
Mayor, just to answer your question too, I think that's gonna be perhaps the first meeting in July. We can spend a little time on it. There's a couple of other things we need to do. I think administratively, a lot of these can be adopted, that just change from sheriff to chief as CEO and whatnot, but we do plan on bringing it. We still have 3 meetings left and we still have policies to cover, so I don't want to rush it this week or next, but we'll be in a position to discuss the policies that we think you need to be specifically aware of, and a lot of them are just changes in some language or gender identification or CEO that aren't changing the policy substantively. So we'll bring that, I think, in the meeting in July or one of the meetings in July if we have several.
And then, if I may, Mr. Chair. So I have another question too. I mean, I am excited about the ceremony for the promotion of the folks that are being promoted. We also have potentially some reassignments, and we're going to have a new chief. What about a swearing in ceremony? We've talked, some of us have talked about that. We want to do that for you, Chief. And for the others is that something that we should consider doing on July 1st?
I don't know if it's legally required because we are continuing as UPD, but in terms of doing it, yes, we can do that on July 1st. We can accommodate that and maybe propose something in the meeting next week. But
I don't know if that's the right date, but it sounds like it's the right date if people are available.
yeah, no, I actually, I think some kind of a kickoff ceremony of some kind would be appropriate. I just don't know. I'd leave that to the chief and others to maybe make a suggestion, but I think that we've already appointed the chief as an interim chief, but it'd be maybe in the next meeting we'll add something to the agenda to formalize it by resolution.
And I don't want to wreck surprises. I don't think it's a surprise, but some of us have also talked about the fact that we would like to do something to honor the sheriff for her service to this department and recognize her. There are also board members that from Salt Lake County that we'd like to thank. Particularly Councilmember Bradley for his long service to the department from the beginning and Aaron for her service as well. So I'd like to do some, maybe it makes sense to do that together.
We'd like to do that, your permission on the 20th. We're preparing for that right now.
Okay, okay.
And I agree that we absolutely have to recognize our Salt Lake County partners, especially the sheriff for 7 years of service during very challenging times. So I think it's appropriate. We're working on it. We'll have that ready to go.
I'm just curious, let Harry, the interim title could extend beyond July first if we did choose to do all of those at the first meeting in July.
Yeah.
We don't have to do it necessarily by July 1. You can stay on the interim title.
Because we're continuing as the same organization, it's, there are some things we do need to do, for example, appoint the merit commission, because that is expiring on July 1, and I think we were planning on doing that. We have nominees to submit to the board, and I think we would set that for the first meeting in July. In fact, maybe at the end of this agenda, we can talk about having a special meeting sometime in early July, specifically to formalize some of those actions, and we'll put together a list of things that we need to do in the first meeting in July, and that would probably be something that would be on the agenda for that meeting.
Do you anticipate new merit commission or just?
Two commissioners are interested in reauthoring, and one is going to be a new one.
So yeah, any kind of direction or request from the board, please let me know. Make it happen. Oh, and along those lines, maybe Mr. Chair, some direction from the board. I think Harmony, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have the next board meeting for July calendar, correct? Third Thursday of that month. How close does that fall to? What day is that? Do you remember? It's the 18th.
It's the 18th.
Okay, so we should be okay. We will, if with your permission, we'd like to just go ahead and plan that, figure out where to meet and start to get those scheduled out, since that is going to be a significant change to these monthly meetings. And also, Councilman Procopis, in addition to that, I don't know how you want to coordinate that with Slovisa meetings for convenience, or, you know, so you don't have to have multiple meetings. You still want to do them back to back in the same location, or how we want to coordinate that. That's something we need some direction from.
So if we, I've offered this before, but it'd be fine to have Lisa meet at Mill Creek City Hall if you were all.
I think ideally it'd be nice to do it like we've been doing it. We're all here the same day. Logistically, if that's possible, I'd like to keep that schedule. I have not talked to the rest of the Slovisa board. Makes sense to me.
Okay, yeah, maybe next week. I think there's Slovisa meeting. Maybe that could be a topic. All Slovisa board members want to continue with that. We'll make arrangements to do that and make sure that it's announced on your account.
At least in the interim, and if
Sure.
it's not working, we can make changes down the road.
Sure. Got to get us through at least 2 or 3 months.
And with the idea that we would schedule a special meeting at the beginning of July, that also would work for Mill Creek.
Yeah, we have, I mean, we went ahead and came under that council chambers for these board meetings on the regular day for the rest of the years. And I mean, that, I'm not, we get to decide where you move it, rotate it, I don't know what you want to do.
I think you have the most chairs, so if that's what it comes down to. I think it's. I think it'd be good.
Sure. And we've discussed, we've got a lot of facilities where we could be. Bid bills, city halls, or Mill Creek. So however you want to do that, but I think Mill Creek's a great place to start. Corn, kind of chambers. Big thing that's going on right now, obviously, if you walk around this building, you're going to see lots of papers and pallets and boxes, and a lot is happening. Tenant Chambers is headed up that transition kind of facilities group to make that. And a couple of the folks that have been assigned to him has done a phenomenal job in terms of managing the project and directing the changes that need to be made, coordinating that. I just wanted him to give you a really quick update, especially related to the move, because that will affect a lot of you as a lot of your officers, a lot of your other parts of your police department that you normally haven't had constant access to, or going to be moving into your precincts. So
It definitely has been a big endeavor to do, and it's been a group project. A lot of your personnel and staff at your offices have been a big help. All the chiefs and commanders and administrators here have been a big help, but we're on schedule to move. We're scheduled to move those positions that are going to Mill Creek will be moving on June 24th. The positions going to Midvale will be moved to June 25th, and those going to Currents will be moved on June 26th. So that last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we have a moving company coming in. They're bringing a big crew. They plan on loading everything up from here, driving to the new thing and unloading it all. They warned us, they work fast, don't get in their way. We need to be prepared for it. And so that's what we've been doing here is preparing for it. The buildings, there's still work being done in each of the buildings that we're moving to. In Kearns, we have furniture in the offices in the new area that we've been able to secure a lease for. Furniture's in the offices, but we're waiting furniture, cubicles for the main room. That'll be for tech services and our records people. In Midvale, we're still doing some construction, so we appreciate you giving us the areas, and Chief Thomas and his staff helping out. The construction should be finished soon. And then we're expecting cubicles to be delivered there sometime around June 17th. It'd be installed then as well. Holiday is finishing up in the basement today. So again, we appreciate the extra room down there, the 2 rooms. We'll finish up with the furniture installation today. And that should be ready to go as soon as we get some IT in. And then Mill Creek, they're in the building today working on IT stuff. Forensics people are on the 4th floor. We appreciate you giving us that room up there. They're up there helping people move some of the furniture and setting up their spaces as well. So we're on track to be out of the building, here this building by June 30th.
Is all the IT stuff to connect all these different operations, is that proceeding okay too?
It's proceeding. Their goal still is to be done by that Friday, June 29th, I believe it is. But they also have some contingency plans to make sure that we are operational. If they don't, there's some things that they have to order in, fiber, those types of things that take a little bit of time to get here. It's all been ordered. They're just waiting for the shipment to come in to do that. But we do have contingency plans if it's not ready.
do you ever have any questions or issues or anything?
Can you give us a quick rundown of what divisions are landing where?
Yeah. So our technical services and records division, as well as drone unit, canine unit, crossing guards, they will all be at Currents in the upstairs portion. We secured that upstairs portion of that building. In Midvale, we'll be having our investigations, our SVU, the BCU, violent crimes and special victims units will be in Midvale, along with our training division and our crime analyst. In Holiday, we will have our domestic violence and fraud unit and internal affairs. And in Mill Creek, we'll have our forensics, along with the forensics lab, and human resources, legal, fiscal, and administration.
Thank you.
And again, the only place we have footprints magnets just due to size restrictions. If you have any questions or concerns about anything that's going on, especially in the next 2 weeks, it's going to get really crazy. So if anything pops up, please let me know and we'll get with Lieutenant Chambers, and address those issues. By July 1, we should be out of this building. Forward.
I would say, just quickly on that, I know, I believe our, like Midvale's facilities team is already involved with what's going on in our precinct, but sure that if any of our communities needed to let an extra unit or two or something going. So,
That'd be great.
don't hesitate to ask.
Yeah, we agree. Yeah, there's always so, I mean, this whole project is unknowns that rise up. So, extra resources if we need them. Very appreciated.
I want to thank the other communities that are hosting this. I think that it's been a good collaborative effort, and each of us are making some concessions, I guess, to make sure that this works. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good.
Well, I think, as you're in your area, I think you'd really enjoy getting to know some new faces, people you normally, that work for you all the time, do important work in your communities, but you normally don't see them. So I think that's side.
Quick question, this is still viewed as temporary, right? We're still looking long-term to bring all of UPD admin, all the units back together eventually at central location.
That's would be the goal. So yeah, as we're going through this, we're also having discussions about what it looks like. Looking at some of these different buildings or facilities, constantly looking. How do we reinvent the department? What do we hold on to? What do we stop doing? Where are our strengths and our weaknesses? Whole entire strategic analysis. We'll keep having those discussions and keep you advised. One more thing we can't remember. Is any questions for me?
See you.
Great, thank you.
I'll move into item 5, the fiscal year 25 budget update. Ask and
Thank you, Mr. Chair, board members. You should, or should, Harmony sent out, the updated budget numbers that we have as of right now. As Mark indicated earlier, we've gone through most of the process for the personnel changes. Mostly for the sworn, for the civilian, we do still have a few more movement that needs to happen. But for the vacant positions that Mark was showing you, knowing that we weren't going to have everything complete by the time this budget had to be presented, we took those vacant positions and we plugged in the topped out salary in there so that we had like a cushion. We should be safe on whoever comes in to fill those vacancies. So we feel pretty confident with the numbers. We did have, obviously, some changes. We had a change yesterday. It was a slight one. It was about $2,500. So it did change the numbers and the percentages slightly. I think you'll see it was just a slight change for Midvale and a slight change for Holiday. Everyone had a slight change because it allocates across the, it was a shared service change, and so it's allocated across all the precincts, but like one precinct got affected by $50. So it wasn't significant, but I just wanted to make you aware that those changes will happen. We'll have those small changes till we get to the final number. In the ones that we have here, so if we have what we did in the tentative budget, we had cut some positions out of Slovisa, specifically 2 out of Magna, 2 out of Kearns, and 2 out of White City. And so you'll see on there, this one is reflecting those cuts. So for sworn positions, we're we've got 264 allocated. For civilian, we got 68 positions allocated, and then for part-time, we have 7 allocated. We were hoping at that time that we would see some savings when all this personnel movement happened, and we did. That's what happened. So we were going to ask the council for direction on as to whether we want to try and replace some of those positions, but you kind of addressed that earlier, that you wanted to try and hold off, maybe make sure Slovisa is more in a stable position before we do that. So that's something that
I believe we targeted a 2.5% cut on the Slovisa side, correct? And if based on who left and the cost of the employees that left, if that left us greater than the 2.5%, I'll say it landed at 4% cut. Without harming the organization and service delivery, if we could maybe leave it at whatever that new number is, that is going to help us in year 2 of solvency for Slovisa. That's what I would like to at least entertain without hurting the service delivery. That means a little deeper cuts than maybe 2 in Magna or whatever that looks like. But I think we need to entertain it and have that discussion to help year 2.
And I don't think you need to go deeper. I
Okay.
think we're good where we are right now. We can't, I just doing some quick rough calculations. It is possible to add maybe 1 or 2 in, but you know, that's, like I said, we just got most of the changes on Friday. We're trying, you know, then we had to get it in the budget. I don't want to give you any numbers until I've been able to make sure that they're accurate. But I quickly, you know, it is possible, but we'll look at that and make sure.
I heard we're down 27 people. If it makes sense and it's critical that we fill half of them, then we do that, but maybe we fill the last 14 or whatever in over time. That's what I was thinking.
And those, even though we're down those positions, they're budgeted for in the budget. As I said.
We can have that discussion with command, and I can have that discussion with Debbie and look at that and bring that to the Slovisa board for more discussion.
Thank you.
So maybe you're gonna get to this, Debbie, but if you had a chance to calculate basically, and we haven't known who's leaving for very long, but in terms of vacation pay liability and things like that, have you been able to do that?
No, that part I haven't even started on yet. That one will be ready for next week. Right now it's just getting these budget numbers so that you as cities could have something for your budgets. So I'm confident with, I'm confident with these numbers. There's going to be slight changes. These numbers, they're good, and you can take them to your cities for what you for your presentation. So Carmen, if you want to go down, let's see, 2 more pages to the budget summary comparison. So this is where you stand right now. And again, in this, you know, the spirit of transparency, I have presented it again with, you know, with the Southeast and the Southwest Islands included, their prior year, last year's budgets included, and then with their budgets not included, and what the difference would be. Right now, if you look at the second table, that's the one that I'm that mostly will be presenting for adoption. So right now, Mill Creek stands at 6.7% and Holiday at 9.29, Midvale at 14.44, and Slovisa overall at negative 2.7. And then Slovisa, if you'll go to the third table, that shows your breakdown. Actually, it's the 4th table, but the 3rd one will work as well. Your totals at the bottom are 727 for Kearns, 4.43 for Magna, 37.91 for White City, 34.05 for Copperton, 45.51 for Immigration, and then 14.39 for Brighton. And those don't change regardless of whether I include the Southeast and the Southwest Islands prior year budgets in there. Those will remain the same. So it's just the overall figure that changed. If you'll notice at the very first table, that final figure is a 9.56% increase. If you look at the second table, it's only a 4.56%. And it's just, you know, whether we add the Southwest or the Southeast Islands prior year budgets in there, but it doesn't affect each of your individual percentages, regardless of whether that's included or not in there. So that's where they stand right now. Could go to the next chart. So that's the overall right there. What I want to point out is that Holiday has already indicated that they want to use a portion of their fund balance, so that's been included in here. I'm going to try and get those some estimates to you, so if anyone else wants to use some of their fund balance, they're able to. So that will be my next project, is to hurry and get those to you so you can indicate whether that's. So that's the overall budget summary, and then for the next one for me, that's this La Vista summary. And if you'll see under Southeast Islands and the Southwest Islands, those are the numbers that were included as a comparison to last year. And that's how we've always done it. We've compared what the total budget was last year to what the budget is this year, and that's why they're in there. Again, I've taken them out in those prior tables so you can what the impact is, just to have another layer of transparency in there. And pretty much, I think that's it for this summary. Yeah, I think that's it, the final one. So it's nearly complete. We've made the necessary changes, and we'll start calculating the compensated absences and liabilities and start projecting your year-end. Final product by hopefully, well, we will to the finance committee.
Any questions? Not seen. Okay, thank you. I'll move to item 6, which is the Salt Lake County Law Enforcement Bureau update. Chief Packer.
Morning, everybody. We are moving right along. We have made all of our offers regarding sworn. We gave all of our sworn staff that are leaving UPD. We gave that over beginning last week. So that certainly is helping make plans and get operational for both sides of the house. We are currently working through our civilians. We have made a number of conditional offers. We're in the stage right now of doing salary analysis so that we can make a final offer with a final wage. We have started to receive back civilians accepting those positions. So we're just in that window of trying to finalize those for the rest of our civilian staff. We've been working diligently with UPD's administration, trying to go through all of the things that you don't think about. Division of assets has been the biggest topic as of lately, trying to ensure that both sides are operational come July 1st. There's been many thoughtful conversations and meetings working through a lot of those challenges. That's all that I have for an update, but I'm certainly open for any questions anybody has.
I'm just curious, we're left needing to hire on the UPD side. I heard you are in the same position, that you weren't quite able to fill every one of the vacancies that you wanted, correct?
That is correct. We are going to our merit commission next week to go for recruitment for a lieutenant, for 2 sergeants, and we're also going to open a lateral roster for deputies. Currently, we're down 6 deputy positions, and we intentionally understaffed 5.
I'm just curious, was that a lack of interest or just not?
So we ended up having to send some letters of we appreciate.
Okay, so you had applicants, you're just not the right fit.
Correct.
Okay. So I was getting that. Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Thank you.
All right, UPD reorganization discussion. Only thing I had was just confirming that Mill Creek was still willing to at least host us for the time being. Otherwise, I think we got that covered. And then I'll work with Mazarin and Harry about the right way to go about appointing Mazarin this and the merit commission and the swearing in ceremony and setting up that special meeting in July. That's all. Anything else? Great. Item 8, interim agreement to transfer assets to Salt Lake County, reserving other issues. Resolution 240601.
Thank you for the opportunity to address this issue. We've been working on multiple fronts, dealing with resolving some issues with Salt Lake County. And I think the last 2 weeks have been probably the most productive we've had in terms of maybe trying to resolve where we can work together and how we can do things. We still have some unresolved issues on questions regarding property and evidence but I think we are now at the point where we have a near final agreement on special ops. I do believe we will have an agreement on property and evidence to present to the board next meeting. We're working on it. There's still a draft that the county hasn't seen, but we're getting closer on those issues. But one of the issues that's
So can you kind of give us the contours of those agreements?
Pardon?
Can you give us the contours of those agreements, just high level?
Yeah, in general, on the special ops, we have an agreement that regarding how we're gonna run the SWAT team, and that the county will be supplying people to that SWAT team that will be joining it. Most of these people have already been on the SWAT team and will be working with us. We would be equipping them. We wouldn't be charged rent for the space we use at the special ops side of the building. We'll have a couple of offices. That will include the TAC commander and the SWAT sergeant. The equipment will remain at special ops for now, all of the SWAT equipment. And in addition to that, I believe there's an agreement that we can keep K-9 and there for now, and that we're going to be cooperatively working on a SWAT team that I think will be efficient, that will serve public safety, and that has been generally a cooperative effort on both of our parts. Space is a little limited at the special ops building because they're going to be moving the county will be moving and housing its law enforcement bureau there. So in terms of this, there's been give and take to try to accommodate all of these needs. And we actually have a draft of an agreement that we send over to the counties that we've been trading some drafts back and forth on to deal with these issues. On property and evidence, the general discussion is this, that the county will take over management of the facility, that UPD will be having its people, its property and evidence team, subject to obviously the county supervisor, but will be supervising our own people. They will be managing all UPD evidence. They will be in there to check in, check out, and they'll be in the process, which some of this has already started, where they're separating the evidence, Sheriff's Office and UPD. Ultimately with an eye towards removing that evidence into our own evidence facility, but that there will be an amount that will be paid that we're still talking about for the use of the facility that is a question mark at this point. We don't know what that is. That would be subject to discussion, but that essentially it's going to be that will be inside the county property and evidence, managing all UPD evidence in there. And there are still some unanswered questions we'll have to discuss and work on. But that's right now, I would say, the general outline of the property and evidence agreement that we're trying to fill in all the details in paper, hopefully by next meeting.
Is this contract in the interim?
Pardon?
Is this contract in the interim, or is this?
It's
Possibly
looking
long-term?
at up to a 1 year. This is going to be up to 1 year agreement, and there's still some details to work out, but it's ultimately to recognize that the size of the project is such that even if we want to move out, we can't do it in the time frame of July 1 without just a disorganized. Well, I mean, I think that our people would do an organized job on it no matter what, but we prefer to do it in such a way that that evidence moved from there to whatever facility we decide to get is transferred with shelving and organization already in place rather than pallets being put in the middle of a warehouse. And, you know, there needs to be refrigeration. We're not going to, at this point, resolve other than note that there is property in there that was purchased by UPD that we're going to want to talk about taking with us. This is just going to be a use agreement that will deal with staying there, continuing to manage our property. The county hired Robbie Ibsen, and he knows that facility well, and he's already been working on some division issues. And I think our people will work well with particularly him under the circumstances, and we've got confidence that we can put together a deal that will work for everyone and allow continuity without some enormous startup expense right now. So I think it's a good call. As we do look at space, we are also very cognizant of the question of trying to stay within our current budget, so that if there are transfer costs from one to the other, that we try to do it in such a way that doesn't result in additional costs to members of the department.
Just curious, is this a month to month or are we bound for a year? And
We're talking, that's an issue that needs to be decided.
I hope to demonstrate that we could coexist, right? This 1 year that we're given, maybe we
Yeah.
can prove that this could
I
potentially be
think,
long term.
I think there's a good chance that that we've seen, and I think, you know, part of, I'm laying the groundwork for talking about the vehicle list, but we've seen that. I think we're both trying to work together, knowing that we each have something the other one needs to continue to function and preserve public safety, which is, it's been the sheriff's goal, it's been our goal, it's been everybody's goal is to make sure that public safety is served. And so I think that, you know, as we've looked at that as our number one goal right now, I think what we're doing is something that does that. So with that in mind, I'm going to talk about this. Obviously, it'd be nice to be able to bring a comprehensive package to the board, but this is something that can't wait because these vehicles need to be repurposed. So one of the things we did is put together a list, and I know that there are two lists rolling around. I'll call the clean one and the green one. The green one is the one I first sent out, and then I think you guys got a clean list last night, and it didn't make sense when my email referenced green. What I've got in front of us is the green list, so I'll just refer to that, but there's a couple of different lists, and I want to explain what they are. So additional are vehicles that are within shared services that are not needed at this time. And so because of that, and because of the fact that we've had people leave, we are recommending that we transfer those vehicles to the county subject to what I would call an eventual true-up. We haven't done that before, but with the number of people leaving UPD, the numbers are such that the pension liability is going to be a non-factor. So I think under the circumstances, and looking at this, we feel comfortable that with these values going with it, it's something that we simply look at getting an adjustment of some kind for when we look at how we're going to resolve our issues with the county. Same with the line units. These line units are just meant to be replacement vehicles is that correct, Wayne, for replacements?
They are, if somebody goes down for maintenance or there's a problem with the car, it's one for them to check out and stay in service, so
And by the way,
they.
I need to make sure I give, you know, complete credit to Chiefs Dial Mazarin and Andrew Worden for their hard effort to put together this list, to look at the funding source of the vehicles, to come up with a list of vehicles that don't impact our ability to do our job and still are such. And they've been spending days on this, trying to figure out the best number of vehicles and the best way to deal with this, because the county has need for these vehicles now. And as such, we think we can work together as part of our cooperative effort and do this. So those are the line units. They're extra vehicles that are parked in the lot in case people need to be replacements. We have more of those. We're not giving all of those away. We feel that what we've reserved in our line units are more than enough. On the cold cars, Dwayne, would you explain what the cold cards are? I apologize.
Gold cars are a non-unit. They're used in our investigations as a different non-conventional vehicle that they can check out and use for different investigations. So it does not appear that they're driving a police type car. And again, same concept. We had several of those, so we split those where we kept two and gave them three.
Are there any hot cars that they drive? We hope not.
They keep trying. I want you to know they keep trying.
I know they get those every once in a while.
The vehicles on the hold list are vehicles that we have been holding, so we knew the county would need vehicles. These are vehicles that we're selling to the county. And so these will be purchased, and I put in here upon availability of funds. And the question on availability is something that could be as soon as July, it could be after that, but we understand that in our discussions that these aren't meant to be vehicles that will essentially wait for the true up, but there will be compensation for those, and that money will go into the fleet fund to buy new vehicles for the department. So that's how it's divided up. We've done what we can to accommodate the county's needs for vehicles. I believe this is a good faith effort on our part towards the cooperation that they need, and we hope and expect that cooperation is going both directions on all of our issues. So I'm pleased that we've made progress. We still have progress to make, but because this part of it needs to go forward now versus next week or on July 1 or whatever, we wanted to get this to the board, and we believe it's appropriate and it's our recommendation.
Sure. Is there an agreement, county needs to evaluations?
The values on the whole vehicles have been in the county's hands for a month. Part of this is that how we arrived at that is we essentially took what I would call auction value, and we compared these to similar vehicles that we had sold at auction. So it's a number that includes being equipped. So I think I would call these good deals. We always pull the equipment off and before we put it out for auction. So the value of equipment's been added, but if you look at some of these vehicles, you'll see that they're 2017 Interceptors for 21,000 or 18,500, depends on the mileage. I think we've gone out of our way to come up with what I would call fair market values on these vehicles, so that the ones on the whole list, which tend to be older vehicles, I mean, new versions of these vehicles would be maybe 50, 55,000. So this is what we would be getting if we release those to auction. We would do something in close to that range. So it's instead of sending them to auction, we're transferring them to the county. They're not perfect vehicles, they know that, but on the other end, they're also discounted to reflect their age, mileage, and condition.
Mr. Chair, obviously, we don't need 50 extra vehicles.
Correct.
What is our obligation to the county vehicle count?
So that's been I would call an estimate at best. So obviously, there's a number of vehicles in shared services that are shrinking. There are vehicles that we've already transferred that are Fund 72. Some of those numbers on Fund 72 that we transferred didn't include percentage pay, like they're funding 20% of this position, 40% of that. That's something that is part of this that will go into what I call the true up, or some additional percentage positions. In addition to that, the county is going to have an interest in a percentage interest based upon its overall interest in UPD shared services. What makes this one a little different is the fact that by the number of people that they're taking from UPD, they've essentially washed out the what has been the pension liability. So we decided to come up with an estimate on what's an appropriate appropriate number out of shared services, recognizing that probably due to their hiring, they're in a position where this could be looked at as sort of a down payment on their proportionate share of our assets. Now, mind you, we still have to do the liability count, the financial issues are out there. If it looks like that we were overly generous in transferring vehicles, then these values would come into play to say, all right, I already got this and we may need some money back. If we're if we're under calculating what they get, that would just be checked off the box in terms of an advanced payment that they need now. So that's why the true up, and I think that what I've seen with the county is they're mostly interested right now in making all this work for them and for us. And there might have been some earlier discussions where that were more difficult, but I think that in the last few weeks, I've seen what I would call a cooperative effort on everybody's part to try to make this split work as well as we can. And one of the benefits of actually starting a year before the actual deadline is it gives us the ability to cooperate in the interim without somebody crawling after us and saying, you're violating the terms of this by too many entanglements. And that's the term everybody's used in that. So I think that I feel comfortable with this. I think it's fair to say that Chief Dial, Chief Maz, Chief Angela feel like that we're not shorting ourselves and we're not in a position where we're going to have vehicles sit in lots when the county needs.
So the resolution before us today is addressing everything in green is ready to be transferred,
Yes,
including those on hold.
yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Harry?
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 24-06-01, transferring assets to Salt Lake County.
We have a motion, a second, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes, thank you. Item 9, upcoming meetings. We've got a finance committee meeting next Tuesday, June 18th at 10 a.m. And then we've got our last board meeting in this building on June 20th. That's next Thursday at 9 a.m. And then our regularly scheduled meeting on July 18th at 9, which will be at Mill Creek City Hall. And again, we'll work to schedule a special meeting earlier as well.
I think that could wait till the 20th. Let's see what we have to present at that meeting, but it may be appropriate to schedule a meeting shortly after the 1st of July. We'll just visit that on the 20th. That's okay.
Anything else for upcoming meetings? Item 10, approval of the May 16th, 2024 UPD board meeting minutes. If there are no changes to those, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those pass. And then item 11, we've got a closed session to discuss pending or reasonably imminent litigation and to discuss matters protected by attorney-client privilege. Do we have a motion to enter into closed session?
Here, I can now make a motion for since it goes session. Discussing plans of the region integration.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Harmony, just as soon as you're ready, Harmony, can you call on?
Director Bradley? I know that we.
If we can just have some quiet in the room as Harmony's calling roll, please.
Director Bradley?
Keep going.
Director Brem? Director Cardenas? Director Dowling?
Yeah.
Director Keegley?
Yes.
Director Litvak?
Aye.
Director Olson?
Aye.
Director Peterson? Director Prokopis?
Aye.
Director Silvestrini?
Aye.
Director Stevenson?
And Bradley's a yes too.